Welcome everybody to another episode of Average American 3 Beers Deep. I'm Jim, this is Bear. It is December 30th, 2 days to New Year. Before we get started, I need to say that nothing you hear is fact-based, everything is opinion-based. Come on, man. So we got some real redneck engineering going on tonight, fellas.
It works.
We figured out a way we can get somebody to call in and be a guest. And tonight we got my man, Uncle Billy. Uncle Billy, why don't you take a second, introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do, and stuff like that.
All right, so my name is Billy Catco. I grew up in Waupaca, New Jersey. I'm Jimmy's older brother, the oldest of three.
The number one, some would say.
Yep. A bunch of years ago, I moved to Louisiana. Knocked up the bartender, had a big girl who I'll do anything for. Now I live in Cape Coral, Florida with my person. Living the dream.
That's a good way to say it, man. Knocked up a bartender. That's great. So, real quick before we really get into any kind of subject, I got a little rant. Because I heard some shit actually today on my way home from work. As you guys know, I'm a heat guy. So I was out working all day and now we're here. They were talking about the border. Right, Bill?
Yeah.
Over 9,000 came across today. The same day that the Federal Bureau of Immigration released a crazy statistic that 59% of illegal aliens in this country are on some sort of welfare system.
Good point.
With that in mind, 59%, man. 59% are taking a portion of my check. 59% of illegal aliens. Illegal aliens. People that have never paid into the tax system, that have never paid to play the game. And they want to give them anonymity or some shit and just let them go and say, all right, you guys are good, you're citizens? That's crazy, man, crazy. And then you got Colorado and Maine trying to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. Now, I don't care if you're a Trumper or not a Trumper, but the fact that there's actually 25 states right now that the Democrats are suing in order to get them to remove a man who hasn't been convicted of a crime to have his name removed from the ballot. A candidate, an ex-president, take off the ballot for inciting an insurrection. When, like I said, there's been no trial, there's been no charge of any of that. Well, they're saying that the 14th Amendment, which was, I forget the year, it was like 18 something. It was an amendment to the Constitution, so that people who fought for the South in the Civil War would not be able to run for a state house representative seat. So they could not be congressmen or senators. They didn't want, people who fought for slavery or fought against slavery to have a say in future votes, which I can kind of understand. But for somebody that was not, again, he wasn't charged. He's an innocent man at this point. But the scary part is it's just the beginning of the removal of the middle class. They have this, the World Economic Forum, that they're saying that, you will have nothing and be happy. They are trying to take away the middle class. The hard-working, blue-collar Americans like myself, like Uncle Billy, like Bear, and they're trying to just eliminate us. So, I don't know that Republicans are the answer. I don't know. I definitely know that Democrats ain't the answer. Joe Biden ain't running nothing. Who is? Fuck if I know. But I do know that in 2024, if we go ahead and elect Joe Biden again, it's just the beginning of the removal of the American class. So what that means is everybody that collects welfare, everybody that gets a social security check, everybody that gets a food card, everybody that gets rent assistance, everybody that gets heat assistance, it's all going to disappear because the middle class in this country pay for it all. So once they eliminate us, who's paying for it? Something to think about coming in 2024. Any thoughts, guys?
So let me roll this up, kick this off here, Bear, because there's a lot to unpack there. So, and I don't know if you're even aware of this, Jim, but this will probably blow your skirt up a little more. Yeah, you say 59% of those illegal immigrants are collecting welfare, but would you believe you're actually paying for each one of those people twice?
I'm sure of it.
Not only are you paying for them when they come over here out of your tax money to keep them on some kind of social welfare, whether it's medical benefits or food, heat, whatever. You're also paying them because they're coming from Honduras, and we're still sending $300 million a year to Honduras to take care of these people anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I do believe that in order to control this, we got to use every means that we have in our power at the same time. I can't remember what the law was called, but back when Obama was president, he initiated the law where if, let's say, and you guys all know that these Hondurans, these illegal immigrants, they all, bunk up in one house together, and there may be 15, 20 illegal immigrants living in a house.
Yeah.
Now, if they have a warrant for one of these illegal immigrants, if the cop pulls up and says, I have a warrant for Juan Lopez, and they're all illegal,
We don't use names
he's only
here.
allowed to pick up Juan Lopez. The rest of them remain where they are.
I think Lopez is Mexican anyway.
I think they need to repeal that. I also believe that they need to use every other tool that they have at their disposal as far as locking up, if we have to, the employers that employ these people. If they have no reason to come here, they're not going to come.
Agreed.
I do.
Yeah, but I don't think they're coming to work.
Should be strengthened. I do believe that we should be able to get these people out. We need to know who's coming in, and there are way too many terrorists that are coming in that we have no idea about these people. And for them to say, "Oh, it's just Mexicans or Hondurans," it's not the case, man.
182 this year, which compared to the however many million that have come through already, but 182 known terrorists. And not like just, they've been known to associate with Al-Qaeda or whatever, but like guys who are on the no-fly list, guys that are, straight up hard dudes. And my thought process is they send them through in dribs and drabs, so that it takes the eye, the hand and an eye trick, send them over here so that they have something to talk about and something to parade across the news while we sneaking more of these guys in on the other side when everybody's busy.
Well, there's also tons of Russians and tons of Chinese people coming over. Now, it's kind of strange. I could almost understand it because, to be honest with you, man, like if I lived in Mexico and I couldn't afford to feed my children, yeah, I would do what I have to do, right? So I always try and put myself in the other person's position.
For sure.
If I just got to walk a few hundred miles and not be able to save my children, I'm going to do it. However, if we look at the population and the genre of people that are coming over, they're all military age men.
Yeah.
They're all of fighting age.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know much about China, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. However, I'm going to guess if I was Chinese, I would have to somehow petition the government to let me go to the United States.
Yes.
Whether it's for vacation, for schooling, or whatever. However, I'm going to guess China ain't going to let all these military age men just up and leave to go to the United States.
I agree.
It's an invasion, bro. It's an invasion. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how easy it is for anybody else to understand, but it's an invasion.
Yeah, I agree.
And then what was the president that said if the United States falls, it's going to be because it fell from within?
Oh yeah, it's definitely so.
Reagan, I
Yeah,
believe.
I do know that there has never been a civilization since the beginning of time that's lasted more than 250 years. And, you know, the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776. I'm not too good at math off the top of my head, but we're getting close, man. Right?
Yeah.
It's an invasion, and it's all by design.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If you look at Biden allowing that balloon to fly over the United States,
Bro, they
It's all
say he
because
knew it was
compromised.
coming. He said they knew it was there and they just did nothing about it.
well, he was hoping nobody was going to see it.
Yeah.
Nah.
You know?
No.
Oh, if we don't mention it, they ain't going to look in the sky.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Somebody happened to look in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing was pretty big too, man. It wasn't like no little ass balloon. It was bigger than that garbage bag we sent up that time, remember? My sister had a birthday party for my nephew one time, and she got a like big ass cylinder of helium.
Yeah.
So we filled one of those contractor garbage bags, dude, and fucking sent it up. You remember that, Bill?
No, I don't.
Oh, maybe you weren't there.
I may have been overseas at the time.
Yeah, maybe. And I remember that's where I learned that, you know, when you suck the helium to make your voice sound funny,
Yeah.
you can take too big a hit.
They're called whippets.
Dude,
They're called
I
whippets.
blacked out, man. I hit the ground hard, bro. I was like, oh, holy crap, man. I figured, you know, the bigger hit I'd take, the longer I could talk funny. Nope.
No, I remember when I used to work underwater, if you go below 200 feet, you have to breathe helium. Helium, and I think it's 3% oxygen, because the nitrogen that we're breathing on the air is too big, and it will cause bubbles in your blood system. So when you come up, it would, well, cause the bends and have
Yeah.
strokes and all kinds of stuff in here. But yeah, you can take too big a hit for sure. That's why we had to keep our heart rate down.
Again, I didn't know, man. I was purely experimental at that point. So I was when you're just an idiot 19-year-old kid thinking, I'm gonna make this shit fucking last longer, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so, I guess that's, you know, pretty much all I had that I wanted to rant about. So,
Your brother's name?
Billy.
Billy.
Yeah.
I'll remember it now. Sorry, brother.
That's okay.
All right. You said you had said something about, you know, what are we gonna do about it? And I got that same question. I don't know where you are on things, and I know that I don't know. Jim said we talk about God a lot.
I didn't say we talk about God a lot. I'm glad you said that though, because it was definitely before Christmas. I was saying to the boys like how crazy, just in conversation, not just here doing doing this, but talking to people. You know, because I work in 3 to 5 homes every day.
I listened to the podcast, by the way.
You did?
I did.
And it's crazy how God comes up a lot with people.
It does.
You know, and again, I'm not the most religious. I'm not the most spiritual. I drop the F-bomb way more than I probably should. But yeah, it comes up a lot. And then, so what brought that to mind when you said that is my wife, when on Christmas, started talking about wanting to go back to church. I'm like,
Yeah.
It kind of blew my mind a little bit.
I know we're
Well, so the God thing, dude, I think that's kind of a common denominator.
Yeah, but you're an atheist, right?
Well, so it's kind of hard to say, man. Like, I've been trying to find my faith a long time now. It's not really working out that great, but I don't know. I believe a lot of different things, so it's hard for me to just pinpoint any one thing.
Yeah.
But to Bear's question, what do we do?
Well,
Bear, I hate to even put it this way, man, but
Yes,
the
sir.
voting ain't working.
You said the voting?
yeah, voting.
Huh?
Like,
You said voting?
Yeah.
Yeah, voting's not working.
Well,
Man.
dude, we elect. We don't select. So
Right.
it's not even our choice. It's what they put in
Right.
front of us.
Right.
the thing is, I'm sure you guys have heard this, right? The government is like an airplane, two wings of the same plane.
It's like an eagle.
So
Yeah.
One head, two wings.
They might have be two wings, but they fly the same bird.
For sure.
Exactly.
So these people are so out of touch with real America that it's going to take more and something more severe. I'm not saying war and violence, but it's going to take a whole lot of people coming together and knocking on Washington's door and be like, listen, bro, you have screwed up way too long. We're not taking this shit anymore.
I know what will
listening
work.
to convention of the states, and I don't know if that's exactly the route to go because I think it's going to take something even more than that. But it's really scary because I've got a young daughter. Jim's got young kids, and new addition to his family, Connor. I don't know you, Bear, so I don't know what your family situation is, but if there's something that like Patriots got to do for their families at this point, and what do we do? What is something that will rattle the cage
Well,
so
so-
loudly that they can't?
I'm glad.
They can't help but listen to the average man.
I'm glad you said that because I thought of it. I just don't know how to pull it off. I know exactly what would work. You ready?
It's got to be millions, though. It can't just be
Oh, for sure.
No.
But
a
it's
small YouTube channel.
nope.
It's got to be people where there's
Yeah,
millions
that's what I'm saying. I don't
involved.
know how to make it work, but if you somehow organize a nationwide strike on blue collar America, people would start listening. Because when you can't flush your toilet because the sewer operator's not working, when you can't go to the grocery store because the truck drivers park their trucks, when you can't, when you can't heat your house because the heat guy ain't coming to fix it when it's broken, like blue collar America runs this world.
The problem with that answer is just like you and me, people who live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, for sure.
You
I
live
get
paycheck
it.
to
That's what I'm
paycheck.
saying.
Can
That's
I
why.
afford that one day to take the day off?
That's why I said I don't know how you would make it work, but in reality, that would work. That would work better than any other protest.
I disagree.
Do you?
I do disagree. Because in Canada and the Netherlands, in multiple places, the
truck
farmers have gone on strike.
Yeah.
And they've spent the money to drive their machines down to protest. And thousands of people followed in line. So the algorithms already have the understanding of what the common person's going to do.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just that simple. And that was a clear demonstration of... And what did they say about the ones that happened in Canada? Oh, they're pro-Trumpers.
Yeah, and then they
Right?
and they
and
seized
so
all
they
their
made
bank
it a political
accounts.
thing,
Yeah.
and they made it seem like what was going on there had not. But when you look at what's happening with the whole trifecta over there, what are the three countries, the highest producers of all grain and all that stuff over there?
Ukraine's one.
Ukraine was one of them.
Yeah.
The Dutch.
Yes, the Dutch, the Netherlands. Yep.
Then the Swedish. And I forget what the third one was, but anyway, they all have the same problem because they're actually creating kind of like that whole the line thing over in the desert where they're creating those miles of housing in one strip. They're kind of doing the same thing there where they're creating the 15-minute cities.
Yeah.
And so they shut down all the farming and they're taxing them. They're charging them for their fuel. They're charging them for the emissions from the animals.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
We joke about the farts,
Yeah.
but like they're at the point where they were going towards seaweed to feed the animals because it produces less emissions and stuff.
Yeah.
They're beyond that now. They can't even afford to go that route anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
that's the whole World Economic Forum thing. They want to do that whole what do you call it? It's the social credit score,
right,
and you're gonna get a card that has so many carbon credits on
carbon
it.
credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then
I want to tie in what you were saying to this. If you and I and everybody else that is capable of maintaining a home for somebody that's not capable, or sustaining a business that they can't do it themselves without the help of outside support, what's that going to prove? It's going to prove that if AI steps in and has an automated program that is zero human interaction and nothing but an interface of electronic communication that's called AI,
yeah.
you don't have anything to answer to but that. So what that would demonstrate is more so not just what would happen if we died out or we were taken away, But what happens if somebody else takes over and then has the authority to tell us where we can't go?
Yeah.
And I think that that's even more profound because it's beyond taking us out of the loop. It's more about inserting their system so that we don't have a choice as to what we're able to do. And a lot of us love what we do. I enjoy my job history because I've been able to step into people's homes and be personal and talk about life with them while I'm working. And it's been a blessing.
I'm telling you, dude,
I've
I said
learned
it
so much.
I said it from after doing this for a couple of years and kind of getting good at what I do. I'm like 40% a heat and propane guy, 60% a therapist for people. Like, because it's always, oh man, my wife left me, my kids suck, the mortgage is late, and now this, you know?
You're never there on a good day.
No, right, that's what I mean. It's always like, it's always like, and now this. And it's like, a lot of times you just gotta like talk people down, you know? I had this one woman actually one time, she said something about like killing herself or something, and I was like, whoa. She's like, what? And I'm like, I stood up from the furnace, and I'm like, man, the furnace not working ain't that big a deal. I'm gonna get it fixed. I'm like, you got kids here? She's like, yeah. I'm like, are they healthy? She's like, yeah. I'm like, are their bellies full? She says, yes. I'm like, they have warm beds. They'll have warm beds to sleep in tonight. She's like, yeah. I'm like, life is good, man.
These are the good days.
Yeah, all the other shit don't matter, man. Nothing else matters. So, you know?
Yeah, but just some people don't have those coping skills, man.
I know.
Maybe me, you, and Bear were either raised with or that we developed along the way. So I get it. However, let's go back to the topic, right? So we're talking about what can we do? And when I was saying what can we do, Bear touched on something, when he was talking about the Netherlands and other countries. Like, whatever we got to do, this isn't something that we could do over a small YouTube channel. This isn't something that we could do with just even a few million people, knocking on Washington's door. This is something that's going to be global because these global elites, they think they're the ones who run the shit. They don't. But the problem is they divide, and that's the problem. They divide between economic status, race, religion, and that's all by design, man, because that's the first thing that the military does. They divide and conquer. So as long as we're fighting against each other, we're not fighting them. Now, if we come together and bring everybody together and realize that the common enemy is not us, that it's the government doing things to us. And like I said, this needs to be global. But how do you get 7 billion people in the world to come together?
Is that how many there are? 7 billion?
They're doing it for us, to be honest with you. If you see it, if you look at the news and you watch some of these other YouTube channels, the governments are doing it for us. We don't even have to do it. You need a small platform, and a small platform that you got right here on this YouTube channel is probably the way to do it. At least the way to start. Because
the
as
conversation
soon as everybody starts
definitely
realizing, man,
right.
like if we all do come together, and maybe you said, like you said, we stop paying taxes. Damn, the government's missing. Man, we ain't got no money. Maybe we shut the government down, like they're always talking about. Oh my God, we shut the government down.
God, I wish.
We're gonna close the state parks. Great, we weren't using the state parks anyway. You're not going to shut the military down. You're not going to stop paying the senators and the congressmen, but you're going to stop paying the people who really do the actual work.
All right. So
we need to do this globally.
If the leaders that we have are not in charge, who is?
It's those global elites.
There
is a movie on Netflix. I haven't watched it for a while, so I don't know if it's still there, but you need to look it up. And basically, it's called the Zeitgeist movie.
Oh yeah, Zeitgeist. Was it Zeitgeist 2020?
Yeah, I believe so. But so the crazy thing about the Zeitgeist movie is, if you watch it and you realize, okay, so there's, I think it was 3 countries who weren't ruled by a global banking system, right? North Korea, Iran, and I think it was Syria, if I can remember correctly. I may be wrong, but if you go look it up, you'll figure it out real easily. Well, who are we really at war with, right? we're at war with, well, not so much Russia, but Iran, right? Isn't that who like they're always talking about, or at least the news is telling us that they're always saying death to America.
Yeah.
Are they really? I don't know. That could be the propaganda that we're all fed.
Right.
Now, North Korea, they have been, I guess, pretty much ostracized from the whole world because of certain things like this. Now, to be honest with you, man, like I don't know if Russia's all that bad. What I could say about Putin is I do believe that he's got Russia in their best interest at heart,
I do too.
which I don't believe the United States does. Whatever any policy that any governor or congressman or senator puts forward, they should always think, well, how is this going to benefit Americans first?
Yeah.
If it's not going to benefit Americans, forget it. Do we really need to be in Iraq? Do we really need to be in Afghanistan? Do we really need to be helping Ukraine right now? No. It's not benefiting us, not one bit. Get out. Get out. America first. I'm all about it.
Me too. I tell you what, man. One of the things when the kids say, you know, well, I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life, I tell them to go in the government. And the kids say, why? Jesse says, why? I said, it's the only place you can go and fail all the way to the top office.
That's true.
Right?
It's true. It's absolutely true.
Bro, here in Pennsylvania, this was probably a couple years ago now, but they voted for a dead guy. He was 99
Well, bro,
years
down
old.
here in Florida, I can tell you a lot of people are talking about this, and I think this is ridiculous. That a lot of people are, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this out loud, are agreeing with John Fetterman. You listen to that guy on the radio, and he could barely speak, just like Biden or some of these other ridiculous politicians.
I will
But a
tell
guy
you what.
who had a stroke and can't get through a conversation without reading a teleprompter or a computer, he's got more sense than the rest of them out there. How is
Yeah.
this even possible?
It is, right? And you know what's crazy, dude? If I was Carhartt, I'd be like, bro, could you stop wearing our shit on TV?
True. But he's
never had a job.
What
He's
did
never
he
had a
say
job.
about Menendez, right? Like, he's talking about Menendez. He should be kicked out of the government, too, because what the hell is that guy's name from New Jersey or New York?
Bob
I
Menendez,
forget
yeah.
his name. Who got kicked out because he lied on his like applications and
Oh, yo, he was a straight up liar, though, bro. It was a lot more than just on the application. What was his name? Ah,
well, did he do anything actually illegal or he just lied?
Yeah, there was a lot of illegal shit going on. What was his name? Wasn't it George something? George Santos?
Santos?
Yeah,
Was it Santos?
yeah. Bro, that guy was straight up crooked. Crookeder than a hillbilly smile, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, but are we really listening to Fetterman more so than some of these other guys? Lindsey Graham.
Bro, blows my mind though. So
That
I
guy
watched.
go to hell too.
Yeah, I watched the Fetterman Oz debate.
Yeah,
I don't like either one of them, right?
I don't either.
But the opening line, Fetterman goes, "Good night, everybody."
Yeah. But the thing is, at this point in the United States government, are we really supposed to keep voting for the person that we like least?
Well, that's the problem. Lewis Black, the comedian, said, "When you have two piles of shit, what do? Vote for the one that smells the least."
And that's what it's coming down to.
Right.
That's what it's coming down to.
Right.
However, I watched a short video today, and I didn't watch the entire thing because I had to leave. But do you guys realize that Louis Farrakhan is endorsing Donald Trump?
Who is Louis Farrakhan?
Wow, are you serious? I did not know that.
Isn't he?
Yeah, man. Louis Farrakhan.
Whoa.
He's like the leader of the Black Panthers
No, I
and
know who he is. He's actually.
Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah, I'm not
have-
exactly sure what it is that he's in charge of, but he's a reverend, and he talks in front of churches and things like that. But
I've listened to
Louis
hours
Farrakhan
of his stuff.
endorsing Donald Trump.
Isn't he the one that was
That's pretty
Obama's
wild.
priest or something, minister?
No, that was the guy from that other church. I forget the name of it, but
All right.
yeah, I know who you're talking about. That's not him.
Wow.
He's the one that maybe 10 years ago told the black people to start like getting arms because we're going to have a race war. And now he's endorsing a white man.
Nick, here's one thing I gotta say, because I listened to him for hours and hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours. I agree with so much of his stuff, but I got a problem with one major issue with that man, and that he brings race into everything. And if he's preaching the Bible and if he's preaching God, he needs to understand that we were all created equal, and that's the difference. And it's really it's vile and it's violent and it's disturbing with the separation. Instead of bringing people together under the God that he says he believes in, he's causing a divide because he's saying there's black and there's white. I get there's a system, but if we're all God's children, we're all God's children. And I got a question. If I could ever talk to Trump, I'd have to ask him something. If some little ray of sunshine could come down to hit me and answer me a question, I'd have to ask him this.
Yo, Donald Trump, hit us up. Average America, 3 beers deep, gmail.com.
Mr. Trump,
please.
Do you have that much faith in God that you are willing to take the crap accusations and the horrific turmoil that they create around you and just a false accusation? That's a lot to stomach and a lot to burden. And I see you walking through this, and I've always looked at you and I've said, wow, that is amazing. Does that come from his trust in God, because that's what he professes? Or...
yeah, where does it come from?
Yeah,
right.
I understand.
It's not God. Who? Right.
I think that his biggest downfall is his mouth. Right? And I think he knows that. But...
Wait, let me interrupt you there, Bear. His
Go
biggest
ahead.
downfall is what?
His mouth.
I agree. However, let me ask you this. Do you think his willingness to withstand all that comes from God, or the 90-something million other people are praising him as the only guy who could save us? I gotta tell you, because if I had 50,000 people telling me I was a scumbag, but I had 10 million people telling me I was the best thing since sliced bread, I'm not going to listen to those 50,000 people who are calling me a scumbag. I'm going to listen to the 10 million people who are calling me the greatest thing ever.
No, agreed.
So, I mean,
Valid
look,
point.
do I agree with everything that Trump says? Obviously, of course not. However, do I believe that he's the only man who could fix this shit? You're damn right. He's the only man who isn't bought and paid for. He's the only man that I know in the government who really, truly does have the American people at heart.
I agree.
think he is the only one who will agree with me when I say America first. All these other scumbags will all say the same thing, but their actions don't prove it. And I'm not a man about words. I want to see action.
See, man, I feel like that Vivek Ramaswamy guy is kind of the same. I like what he says, but I don't mean to be racist, but he's an Indian, and they're all about the money, man.
You can't say that.
I mean,
listen, I worked for
this came from Pakistan.
I worked for 4 Patels in a row. They passed me off one to the next.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because they referred me to them.
For sure. But did they not try and haggle with you?
Not at all.
Come
Not
on.
at all. I promise you they did not.
Come on. I worked for some Patels, dude, and it was, what if I pay you
That's
cash?
the skin thing.
What if I pay you cash? No, I'm saying, what if I pay you cash? So I told the particular Patel, so we came up, I will say, when you agree upon a price with them, they pay you. When the job is done, you get paid. Right? So after we're done with the job for this particular Patel, he owns a deli. Billy, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The next morning when I went to the deli for coffee, he tells me 201. I said, what if I pay cash?
Mr. Patel with the deli that I know, we didn't talk about this beforehand.
Yeah. He also
Piscataway, you know who you are.
He also owns a couple gas stations.
No, just delis.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not. Remember, nothing you hear is factual. But somebody told me the reason why there's so many Patels in this country is because in India, when you're named after your father, grandfather, and the province that you come from. And Patel is like the biggest city in India. Again, I don't know if it's true, but
I have heard that. Don't know if it's true.
Yeah, I don't know, but that would make sense because there are a shitload of Patels, man.
Well, I can tell you this: that whole Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah,
he says some really intriguing things, man. It really makes you think.
For sure, right? Exactly. Like I'm down with the 75% cut in the IRS.
I don't think he's got enough experience as far as foreign policy goes, actually be elected. But I do like where he's going. I do like what he says.
Yeah, but
and in the future,
what's your idea of proper?
maybe he's got something in the future.
What's your idea of proper foreign policy? Because I'm gonna tell you, mine's real simple, bro. Close the border
I think ours is very similar.
I say close the border and stop sending money anywhere.
Ours is similar. I say close the border, bring all our boys, whether they're in foreign countries or anywhere, bring them all back here and let everybody fight them out, fight it out against each other. The thing is this, bro. We are relying on too many foreign countries for the necessities in this country.
Right.
Looking to China for our medicine? Are you kidding me? Bring it all back here. Keep it all here.
I agree.
Because if we have everything that we need here in the United States, we got metal, we got fuel, we got everything that we need for 150 years. And a lot of people don't realize this, dude. You know, one of the things I learned when I was working offshore in the oil industry.
How to piss underwater.
Well, shit underwater, that's even crazier.
I was trying not to get that.
What people don't realize is because we've been trained to believe this for years.
That's another podcast. Because I really want to know the
that
answer.
at some point the oil is going to dry up. Do you know oil doesn't dry up?
Okay.
Oil does reproduce. The oil does replenish itself. And for everybody to say that we don't have enough, we need Saudi Arabia. No, bro, we don't. Saudi Arabia don't need us. There's plenty to go around, whether it's natural gas, fuel, diesel fuel, crude oil, whether it's coal or whatever else we burn. We got plenty of it, and it's gonna last a damn long time.
Well, so
if you're gonna try and tell me that we could truck all the freight that we truck in a year with electric, I'll call you an idiot because you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
No, for sure.
But we do have plenty. We're not running out. There are countries out there, yeah, of course, that don't have what they need and they need to export, or they should import. They need to import. We need to export. But we do have a big enough reserve right now that we can keep going for a good long time, and it does replenish itself, bro. But listen to me, somebody who worked in the oil industry, worked on oil rigs, it does replenish itself.
One of the things I often think about is like, all right, so if that's what we did, right, we closed the border and stopped sending. Well, what did we talk about that one time? It was like 52% of our GDP goes to what's the term? Oh Christ, 52% of our yearly budget. I shouldn't say GDP, but of our yearly budget goes to like foreign affairs, right? It was a crazy amount of money that goes to support other countries. And I thought to myself, man, if we just stopped all that, closed the borders, nobody in or out for 2 years, all these other countries that have these natural resources are going to be begging us to buy them from them.
Yeah, we're going to still rot from within.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's true. But gas will be cheap.
That's great.
Right, man? We'll be able to drive gas hogs that, run fucking 6 miles to a gallon at, 99 cents a gallon again. That'd be great, dude, no? Well, not in Pennsylvania because they signed that law in 2014 that they snuck in. Did you see that last week, Bill?
Well, I do believe that they need to start doing laws one at a time, not like a whole budget where they fill it all this pork in this one bill.
Yeah,
3,000. Nobody's reading a bill that's 3,000 pages long.
Yeah.
Sorry, nobody's doing
6 hours before they have to vote on it.
Yeah, there's nobody doing it.
Yeah, nope.
I'll be honest, I do. I really do.
I bet you do, but can you do it 6 hours before you have to go vote on the bill?
No, I listen to it afterwards because I want to see what they're manipulating us to do.
Yeah.
So I understand before that it was said that the man behind the curtain, the New World Order, the hierarchy kind of thing, they're obviously pulling the strings on our political stuff. I mean, you got buffoons that can't keep a sentence or be coherent for an entire interview. So clearly we have special people who are put in place for a reason who clearly can't represent the average American or what's in the average American's best interest, let alone human beings.
Yeah.
So what's the point of putting someone up front who is our leader who can't represent stability in any way? What's
Yeah.
that supposed to do for us?
Mental,
And
physical, balance.
so when the world looks at us and they say, land of the free, home of the brave, in God we trust, and everything about that's perverted, they look at us in some type of way, and then we send all of our money and all of our munitions and everything else overseas, and we have nothing left for us because we're supposed to sacrifice what we have. We're supposed to answer to a bunch of buffoons that we know are corrupt and obviously neck deep and ready to suffocate and just disturbing stuff that they're involved with. And they sold us all down the river. So as a people, as a group, yeah, there's a lot of people. It takes more than a little YouTube, whatever's going on. But I keep always going back. It's the spiritual nature of things, and we see things as evil and good, right? And we look at it and we say, we know that that's just wrong. We know everybody would agree that that's wrong. Like, there's just certain things that we just know are just morally wrong. So where are those moral standards set? And I'm just going to put this out there. If you took the simple 10 Commandments and applied them to society and stepped away from all the other stupidity and all the black and white and gray areas and everything else and just looked at those 10 Commandments, we wouldn't have any issues. It's simple. 10 laws. That's it and done.
Yeah.
And there's no hate. There's no hate crimes. There's no hating on people. There's no judgment from ourselves. And, I mean, I'm only saying it because I've found it to be true. Because if you get to the root of all the problems, it's because we're setting towards where can we set man free. Well, if the people in charge are still in charge and we're going to set ourselves free, that's going to be at their disposal, not ours.
Right.
So when we're locked into a program of AI, which is not AI, it's just reintroduced stuff from the past, we're screwed because we're locked and boxed. And we have nowhere to go. We have nowhere to breathe. We have nowhere to escape. You can't talk freely anywhere. And we're getting to the point, and I could really get into this on a different podcast. I promise you this. They are able to read our minds right now. We have devices in our streets and in our homes that are collecting things that we aren't aware of, and our phones are accelerating with the technology without changing the devices in our phones. So it's time to wake up and realize that they already own us.
Oh,
and
for
it's not, these are the good days, and if we don't, we're never going to step up enough to take over what they have going on right now. It's going to be a shit show, and it's going to go down, and there's going to be a lot of whack stuff that goes on. But in the end, what it comes down to for me is not this world, because you die.
Yeah.
All right? And I question, is there a soul? Because if I die, I question, okay, if there's a soul, what does that mean for the people I love and myself? And then I ask, who am I to set the moral standard? Who am I to set the moral standard? I'm an idiot. I know a lot. I've tried to make my life capable of helping others, but I'm just a human. And clearly, if I look around me, we're all failing pretty bad, so must I. So
Yeah.
how do you change the direction of people? I don't think it's going to be a revolt against those higher powers in this earthly realm because they've already got us locked and boxed. I think it's what happens to us in that supernatural realm of the soul. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that out there. I know it's a separate topic, but I really think this is spiritual warfare, and they got us locked and boxed through AI, which is the reincarnation of
Yeah.
a lot in the past.
I for sure, I think I know what you're saying. Like, it's the programming of the people.
Yeah, and we're lost right now because we're seeing, as it was said before, we're seeing race, we're seeing creed, we're seeing nationality, we're seeing that we're demographics, we're seeing the group that you attach to, religion. Oh my goodness, religion. We see all these things that are polluting what is supposed to be. I mean, we say God's green earth, but like we have the capability of farming this land and raising animals and having a family in peace and harmony, and this is what we did with it.
Yeah.
And now there's other people in charge that we answer to besides God, and that's my bottom line.
I've often said that, man. I've had the privilege of doing some work on a couple of farms in New Jersey, Sussex, New Jersey. And one of the things that I thought was amazing, and I said to myself, when it came time to throw hay, all the guys from the surrounding farms came and threw hay.
Yeah.
Right? And then the dude's farm that you were at, his wife made a big old dinner, and everybody stood around drinking beers and eating food. And then next week, when you were trying to throw hay at your place, everybody went there. And I remember helping and saying to myself, boy, this is really how we were intended to live.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Not
sir.
this, to quote the great Charlie Daniels, what is it, living by the law of the jungle, not the law of the land. Like, we're meant to help each other, right? Like, not be against everybody. But that doesn't get no clicks, and that doesn't get no headlines, so we gotta all be against each other.
It's by design, though.
I know.
Yes.
It's all by design. Think about it like this: if you, me, Bear all live next to each other, right, and the neighbor next door is having a hard time, like maybe he's sick and he can't get out there and plow his fields or harvest his corn or whatever, we're all gonna get together and just do it for him, right?
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
But when you're forced to do it, do you really want to do it? In other words, all this money that comes out of my paycheck is going towards welfare and social systems because I'm forced to do it. People who choose to not do shit, who don't even get off the couch, maybe they're playing video games and they use their welfare check to go buy tattoos and beer and hair extensions and nails. Do I want to help those people? No, man, but I want to help the people who wants to help himself.
All right,
about it.
can I throw something in there?
Do you know,
Yeah.
real quick,
Go ahead.
do you know if you go to the pot store in Pennsylvania and you show them your food stamp card, you get a discount?
Jesus.
All right, so that's perfect. I'm glad I let you go first.
Is that crazy though? That's insane!
Okay,
You got a food card, maybe you should be in the pot store. I gotta take a
Agreed.
piss test so I can keep my fucking job. And these people are getting rent assistance and food stamps and buying pot.
So where is the manipulation here? What they're teaching you is that there's rules for you, and what you're teaching the people who have their hand out that don't need it is that you're entitled to it. And
Right,
those people are
entitlement
gonna work
programs.
for it.
That's really what they need to
Did
change
anybody
the
here
name of.
study anything about the gulags? What do? They outcast the farmers and the people in the fields, and they concentrate the people in the cities, and they turn them against each other.
Yeah.
And after the war was over, they found out the government pulled the food. And they turned them against each other and starved everybody. And they assassinated them in the fields, etc., children, and everything else. Same thing they're doing here. They're changing the perception.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, I know that the design is that they want you living off the government dollar. They don't want...
But what's the reason for that? What is their ultimate goal? Their ultimate goal is so that you have
Control.
to answer to them. You
Yeah,
no longer
control.
have free will.
Right, control.
Right.
Right.
And which groups are they going to go after? They're going to go after the groups that are not afraid to die for the cause. And I was asked...
Well, so that's why I think all these immigrants are coming.
So I was asked
Because
recently...
they're going to replace us.
It's not replace us. I was asked recently once if Hamas or if it was to be taken serious, and I said yes, it certainly is. First of all, it's spoken about for a long time, and second of all, they're willing to die for it. Are you willing to die for what you believe in?
Yeah, I am.
I understand that, but the average person is going to hide in a
Right.
corner and say, "Government, help us."
Right. I agree.
You're already
And you know what, I said that. I don't believe in the tactics of many of these, what the government has deemed terroristic groups. But I often thought like the insurgents in Iraq and what are the other ones, Bill? What do they call them? Christ. What's the government that's running in the Middle East? Whatever. But I always thought like, man, at least these guys have the balls to fight for what they believe in.
because they're
Whether I agree with you or not, right? Like, I don't agree. I don't agree with the
Perfect,
slaughter
perfect.
of anybody, but they're willing, and they got the balls to be like, yo, this is what we believe in,
Okay.
and we're ready
Okay.
to fight and die for it.
I got an
You
answer.
have to
I got an
respect
answer.
it.
Why does China have so much success? Because the government raised the children.
Sure.
Why are what you're talking about, why was the outcome of that successful? Because that was the way it was manufactured to be.
Yeah.
We're looking at the same thing today. We're being manufactured to take a knee for somebody we can't see And it's going to be everybody. Because like you said, when the blue collar person, when the average person, when the person is afraid of losing their home
Yeah.
because they're the ones paying for it and not somebody else subsidizing it, when those people are handicapped, then we all are the same. And there is no more opinion on anything. And all those laws that we think are foolish, all of the things that rain barrels, collecting rainwater, having a garden, being taxed, having a pond in your backyard can be taxed because if a bird drops fecal matter in there that has bird fish eggs, you can actually use that resource instead of it going to a natural place because you can help where the bird poop. But they're going to tax you for it. All those things, once the systems that are around us kick in, and whether it's war or famine or theft or whatever it is, uprisals, civil war, whatever it is, whatever reason they have to justify putting that into place, we're not going to be able to breathe without being hit with a fine. And that includes thought. So that's a very chilling thing when we think about our loved ones, our children. I have children. That scares me. Not because of what they're going to go through, but because they're not going to understand why they're going through it. And again, to me, that's the spiritual battle. They're not going to beat the system.
No.
When you can't walk into Walmart, when my partner gets charged or doesn't get accepted into Walmart because they know that she's coming back and I don't purchase food because I'm not allowed to, she's going to get docked
They've
for
already
it.
purchased too much.
She's going to get docked for it.
Yeah. So that's
And I'm not going to have her lose her house. So we're going to have to make a choice at that point.
Yeah, but you're gonna lose it anyway because the Black Rocks
Yes,
and everything. Right.
but she doesn't understand that. And I don't want to bring her into this, but she's.
Yeah, but so we don't have
I
to
see the
because
world so far in advance.
It's what
I don't know
I
if it's
think-
months or years from now.
so the Chinese Communist Party, that's what they do. They have their hands in everything, right? Everything is about if you are a Chinese-owned business, you have the illusion that you own this company. But if you want to make a decision, you have to go through the government first.
Correct.
Right? So
Correct.
you have to get their approval to
Correct.
make the decision, right?
Yeah.
So then, I don't know what the tax rate is, but all these Chinese people, they live in these tiny little apartments. Not even apartments. I mean, they're like, like
It's a sleeping space.
it's just exactly. And they get up and they go to work. And they come back to their sleeping space and they eat and sleep and they go back to work, right? And we fought to end slavery in this country, and we're allowing it to happen over again. Because that's what they want. That's what the corporate elites and the government want. They want one unit that supports everybody. And, all right, we'll give you 15% of what you earn this month so that you can go out and maybe go on vacation next year. Or, buy a Snickers bar at the end of the week for your family to share. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like they're just trying to
Be grateful.
transition.
Be grateful you got a piece of what you earned.
Yeah, right. It's actually when you really think about it. And by the way, I 1,800 miles this week I put on my truck.
Nice.
So I got a lot of time to think about this shit.
Yeah.
So, like I said, and nothing you hear is factual. I was just talking shit, but I really do feel like that's what they want. Like I really think that Chinese people that are living in China are just slaves. And like you said earlier, Bill, these military-age Chinese guys are coming to help enforce it.
But who were they educated by and what's their goal? And they're willing to die for it.
Right,
Right?
they're
But
educated by
all
the
these-
government.
So here's the thing. So are all these other nationalities. So that means that there's one mind broadcasting to all these places, go to these different countries. And, I deal with a lot of military stuff. We'll leave it at that. And
Billy's a vet, by the way.
I gotta say, we were in a heavy conversation one day on their territory, and they kept going on and on about patriotism and that we'll come together and everything else. And I said, you don't understand what happens when it's not our people taking over, but it's the United Nations sending their people over,
Yeah.
and you're sent somewhere else. And that's what we're being prepared for.
Yeah, but they're slowly killing patriotism because they don't even teach it no more.
They don't care about that.
Right.
Because certain people are unified in that, and in that unification, they lose the identity of being human towards each other.
Oh, because they're owned. They're already owned. Like LeBron James kneeling, fucking not standing for the national anthem, right?
LeBron
he's owned
James
by
got an
China.
ear tumor and then ends up being the guy for Samsung. Come on now.
But I mean, fucking piece of shit. Anyway, yeah. So right, he's got fucking thousands of kids working away in slave situations in sweatshops, making his fucking shoes so he can sell them here and make some money.
All right,
He's
so here's
owned
the
by
thing.
China.
Cool. Circle around. I said before, China's educating their people, right? And at the same time, they're sending people over, just like all the other nationalities, right? And we're supposed to accept it, right? And stand back, which means taking a knee no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're also supposed to support it elsewhere to the invisible person and support it to people here with the invisible people, right? So sacrifice. What's the Gandhi, when they found out that he was working with the British, what did they say about him? All the peacekeepers, what happened? Oh well, if you can attach them to religion, or if you can attach them to a patriotic act and tell them to keep it calm and sacrifice themselves, just like they did in India with Gandhi, just sit peacefully and get mad and you get completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Right? And they listened to him because they were told to do that. There's a point when you have to stand up.
What's it say in Gettysburg? Have you ever been to Gettysburg, Bill?
You took the ride out there.
Yeah.
Gettysburg, Florida?
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The Battle of
No.
Gettysburg. So there's a memorial there of Abraham Lincoln,
Right.
and in the concrete it says, sometimes the price of freedom must be paid for with the bloodshed of the innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, bro, because it's such a crazy place, man. If you ever get the opportunity to go.
But if the people on top are manufacturing the wars that are killing the people, it's not their sacrifice, it's part of their plan. Right? So if we're going to be brought to war, and like I think about my son. My son is a young buck, but he's 21.
Mm-hmm.
So should there be a draft right now and he be my second son, he's gone.
Yep.
And then he's got a choice to make. Now, I don't think I don't think it's going to work out well.
If he's got to
Because
go.
they don't want those boys coming back. They've sent enough of our people coming back disabled mentally,
Yes.
okay? To expect my son, if he doesn't have a good head on his shoulders, to not come back sane. Right? Not able to take care of a family. Like I said, I work a lot with the VA, so there's a lot of
That's another episode, actually, though, because I actually do want to talk about that, because I do believe PTSD is a real thing.
no doubt.
Right.
But yes. But we are all
This is another
suffering.
right, but
Yeah,
the other,
see?
the other,
Oh no, it's not another subject, because here's the thing. You bring up PTSD. If you look at what PTSD is, after what happened with COVID, the threat of famine, war, pestilence, all these things, we've been bombarded with so much that we can't handle the information about MR and all the crap we've been given.
yeah.
There's such a bombardment of information. It's the same thing as being shell shocked. We don't have the ability to comprehend and process everything. It is the exact same thing chemically that goes through our body, neurologically that goes through our body. The way that our brain hits the synapses, it's all the exact same repercussions that show as PTSD. And I am guaranteed, I'm positive that this is how it works. So we are all in PTSD mode right now. And they've done it on purpose. I, as a blue-collar worker, are like, we're at a point where what's going to break, what's going to happen. At the same time, the people who are receiving are like, what's going to break, what's going to happen. So we're all in a state of shock and awe, and who are we going to go to? There's no one to go to for an answer. And there's such a profound question when it's being asked, where does this go to? How do we handle it? How do we entertain the masses so that they can understand? Because they need to be entertained, distracted by something in order to be observant of it, whether it's shiny sports or shiny boobs or shiny butts, shiny cars, shiny money. What do our kids have to look up to? It's all these problems, right?
Well, that was the whole idea behind the Colosseum in ancient Rome.
Yes, sir. Okay,
we're
so
doing all this thing, but you know what? It's like the sleight of hand. You know, you're looking over here while we're doing this thing over here. That's what's going on everywhere.
let's follow that.
However,
Go ahead.
Claire, I'm going to say something to you, and it's not meant to offend. Please understand
No,
that.
you're good. Speak up.
So, religion, man, right? Like, one of the reasons why I'm having such a hard time with finding my religion. I mean, a few weeks ago, I just had a whole prayer group lay their hands on me and say prayers that I'll find God. Now,
Did you watch last week's podcast, Bill? She's a black
Like
lady.
that?
Did you watch
Say that
last
again, Jim. I
week?
didn't hear you.
Did you watch last week's podcast?
Yeah.
Dave found God. She's a black lady.
I heard that joke. That was funny.
That
Who
was
did?
funny. Dave.
Please
Okay,
continue.
so
Please
I
continue.
told you about the play that I was doing, right? It was for a prayer. It was for a church.
Yes, sir.
I don't go to the church, but I did pretty good in the play. Now, afterwards, they had like a Christmas party. I think it was on the 15th. So it was about like 2.5, 3 weeks ago now. And I drank a little too much whiskey, but as I'm drinking the whiskey, people are, talking to me. I'm like, well, I don't really believe in God. I'm trying to, but I don't believe in it the way you guys do. Now, the problem I have is that my brain is too analytical and I can't understand why people do. Maybe one day we can have this discussion. Probably not today. However, the thing about the whole religion thing is it's about control, right? If you look back on all the religions in the day, it was about getting your people to fight for you and do your bidding, right? So let's think about the
That's what I've been saying the whole
Crusades,
time.
right? The Muslims fought the Christians because of religion. We have, and as a Muslim, if you die, you go to heaven and you get 77 virgins. I don't know why you would want 77 virgins. I want 77 porn stars to know what they're doing. But I'm sure along the line somewhere it was glorious
I don't
to
wanna
die
teach
as
them
a
all, man.
Christian if you're fighting for your religion. In Viking religion, if you die in battle, you're going to Valhalla and you're dining with the gods and stuff like that. So it's all about control. Me, I'm not about what you can control. I'm about what I control, my own life, my own destiny. And I don't think enough people are doing that. I think a lot of people, because when it comes down to religion, right? Oh, well, it's in God's hands. I'm not afraid to die because when I die, I know I'm going to heaven. Well, if you believe that, then you really have no reason to make it better here for yourself on earth. So I need people to all come together and do our own work, not God's work. I needed to do it for humans, people, neighbors, friends, family. That's who it really needs to be done for, not for some God that I don't even believe in. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to offend, but
No, I'm not offended. It's good to talk about it.
I think the problem, Bill, is that most of us humans are broken.
think with our what?
Most humans, I think, are broken.
I think I have an answer for you. I don't know if it'll be satisfactory.
I can't believe the juice because we had this conversation. I got pissed.
So
Wait. Let me interrupt real quick. We're not supposed to interrupt each other. But however, whatever you say, I'll accept your answer as long as it's God's will.
no, sir. No, sir.
That cannot be the answer because that's the answer I hear from everybody who is a religious person, a religious scholar. It's God's will. No, it can't be God's will because, as Jimmy remembers, and I don't know if you are what age you are or how close you grew up to where we grew up, but when I was in second grade, two of the girls I went to school with were raped, murdered, and dumped in the woods by their house. Right now, to which I say, if it's God's will and God is all powerful and all willing, and man, the guy that was walked out the house that day, who was going to rape these two little girls in eighth grade, or 8-year-old and in second grade, couldn't he just make that guy fall off the steps or twist his ankle so he couldn't make this happen? Those girls did nothing to anybody, but of course it's God's will, or God gave man free will. So whatever question I ask about religion, as long as those can't be the two answers, then I'm willing to accept any answer you give me.
Man, you asked one of the most profound questions. Thanks for hitting me up with that one.
Bro, that was deep, bro. I heard it
All right.
outside. That's just
Wow. All right, I really appreciate that question because I have a question that I can't answer that you almost touched on, but I hope I can answer yours appropriately.
Right? God, he decided at one point, like this world is just really going to shit, so I'm gonna flood the hell out of it.
All right.
Well, if he could do something like that, he could make some guy fall off the stairs and twist his ankle so he can't go out and rape, murder two little girls.
Well, this is what we're doing with free will. This is what we've decided to do. So, I mean, if you want a tyrannical God, I mean, you can go to most religions. Some religions are peaceful, etc. But you have to earn your way yourself. Um, I if you look at, and I'm going to use what I understand to be good. If you look at Jesus Christ, he was crucified. He was crucified because he never took up arms. And it wasn't because he was a pansy. It was because the Jews wanted him to be a political leader, and the Gentiles, Caesar and Pilate, saw him as a religious and political leader. And he didn't want to be that in either way. He went to the temples and flipped the tables. He had a problem with the way that they were working. He had a problem with religion. And I'm going to agree with you on that. Religion is man-made. But
Earliest form of government.
it is. And I'm not disagreeing with that. But what I'm saying is that if you took those base principles and you applied them to society, you wouldn't have failure. And if you have a God that was tyrannical and said that you must listen to me, that's not a God of love.
But isn't that what he's doing by saying you worship no God before me?
Well, you have other gods to worship, as do I. We can worship with music. We can worship our partners. We can worship Satan himself. We can worship, we can covet. We can do so many things. And it leads us into temptation. It leads us into coveting other people's partners. It leads us into not taking care of our children, what it is to be a man, what it is to be a woman. And then we cross those lines where we joked around before about, how do you feel about transgender men swimming with girls in competition? Well, if we didn't pollute those lines, we wouldn't be here. And it's just that simple. So now a woman is no longer beautiful. She can't breastfeed a child. She's got to chest feed a child because a man can chest feed if he wants. And it just disturbs everything.
Well, when I realized it, I don't mean to interrupt you, Bear, but when I realized it was over with that whole thing is when 3 contestants in the Miss Universe
yes.
were men.
Yes.
And
ladies, you lost your spot. And men, we lost our spot. And how are we going to get back there? Who's going to ground us?
right.
And I know you have a gripe with religion, and as do I, because it's been a bad representation. But if I look at scientifically, if I look at geologically, if I look at historically, if I look at a population, if I look at migration, there's only one that holds true. You can say, well, they haven't proved that yet. But everything that's been proved has been proved to be true. And if I look at the base principles of that person's existence, it leads to a positive outcome. This world is our freedom to decide, do we want to make this place a better place? And unfortunately, not enough of us stood up to say we want to make this place a better place. We're going to listen to our superior, our God, which is our government, because our government's dictating to us. And until we take our stance as an amazing spiritual entity, created to not just live in this life but the next, to shed this exoskeleton and move on to the eternal presence of whatever it is, we're not going to touch that. We're not making this place a better place. We're living under the dictation of some evil people that we know are corrupt and polluted and ill-willed for us and our children and the children to come. So what are we doing about that? How are we going to view that battle? And I truly believe it's a spiritual battle. It's not just good versus evil.
Do you know what got me thinking about getting... When we first went to Pennsylvania, we went to church every Sunday. I had some issues with the church, the priest, whatever. I don't want to talk shit about a priest. But anyway, I do know a couple very successful people that are very wealthy and very well-to-do, and they are very religious. and I sometimes think like, what role does that play in their success?
I can help you out there
Go ahead.
because it's about giving back, right?
Yes, sir.
So you, let's say, Bill sitting across the way from me, he builds houses, right? So he builds somebody's house, and let's say he takes $5,000 of the profits that he made on building that house and selling it to these people. He takes that and invests it into the community. Well, that's just $5,000, but what that might do is open up a couple more business prospects, right? So now, instead of him only building a house, now he's got two people that want houses built because they saw through this community, through him donating this $5,000 to whatever.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, but I also I don't know, man. Like that's all well and good, and I understand, but like I just feel like, is it because they're guided by the morals and principles of their religion that makes them
Yeah,
successful?
and look, yeah, of course it is.
You know what I
I'm not
mean? Like
saying
that's what I
you
mean.
donated $5,000. It doesn't have to be about money. It
Right.
could be about time. It could be about him donating his equipment. Maybe he used his backhoe or his bobcat to clear some debris from somebody's house after a hurricane.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like I don't
but
think
now
it's
that
so much
your
about.
name is out there because they saw it on your bobcat, right? So that's how it goes. It's, I didn't do it for money. I didn't do it for profit. I didn't do it for recognition. I did it to help my man. But you know what? 3 or 4 people just saw my name on the back of that bobcat. So now I'm getting calls.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So I think it boils down to the morals that we instill in our children, right? Like, if these particular people that I'm thinking about are so successful because they follow their religion, they now
Sparks just wet my hair.
they pass this on to their children, right? So whether you want to be religious or not, if you have the moral aptitude to pass on and to further, the good deeds, then, like I said, you got to think like more like how do I help my friend instead of how do I help myself? You know what I mean? But anyway,
So
Rob,
there. Okay, so you
wait,
already
it's-
kind of know a little bit about my history with the whole religion thing, right? However, I do wear a crucifix. You know why? Not because I believe in God that strongly, but because I do believe that the crucifix, the symbol, does more good than harm.
I can
Right.
appreciate that.
So
plus it looks cool.
if somebody asks me, "Oh, you believe in God?" Well, not really, but I do believe in man. Right? So I do believe that even the worst of people can do good.
Jim just said the cross looks cool,
It does look
but
cool.
I gotta say no, it doesn't.
I believe that the symbol does more good than harm.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No, agreed. But I don't think it looks cool because if you understand
Yeah, what it
if
actually
you understand the life of Jesus Christ and what it is to be a Christian, it's not religious, and it's not cultist, and it's not self-fulfilling. It's giving of yourself every day of your life. It's sacrificing the human side of you for the spiritual side of you. Is exactly what it comes down to, because you care so much about everybody else around you that you're willing to sacrifice what you have. And when they take that away from America, God believing or not,
Bro, but we've touched on this in other shows because, like I said, a father, right?
Yes.
My job is to sacrifice the things that I want in life so that I can provide for my family, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's not my job to do that, but like I get up and I go to work. I worked fucking 30 hours overtime last week. You know what? Why? So that there's extra money so I could buy the shit that my kids want. That's what's missing. Is people aren't willing to sacrifice. I think that's why the divorce rate is so high in this country. I think that's why there's so many latchkey kids running around, because I'm not going to sacrifice my happiness so that, I stay with a man who doesn't do the dishes and doesn't provide enough for me, but, I'm going to, move on and do whatever. I'm not, raising a family is all about sacrifice, right? You sacrifice your time, you sacrifice the things you want to do so that you can provide a better life for your children. Nobody's willing to sacrifice anything anymore.
All right, so here's my
We're all about instant gratification.
We're
and-
sacrificing to the system. We should be
Yeah.
sacrificing for the future, which means getting rid of the system and putting into play, I don't know, community, fellowship. I knocked on Jim's door one day, and I heard, like, is it the cops? Because
Yeah.
nobody knocks on anybody's door
Oh, for
anymore.
sure, right?
And then I had to knock on it like 2 days later, and I'm like,
True.
and I heard the chatter inside. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't mean to be weird coming, 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, People don't do that anymore.
No,
And
dude,
like-
it's actually funny because I remember years ago when we lived in another house, my work truck had broke down. So my boss was like, "I'll just take my car home tonight. We had a mechanic on site. He's like, "He'll get a look at it tonight." I'm like, "All right." So I pull in my driveway and I walk in the house. Jake was younger. He was probably 11 or 12, and he's hiding under the couch. I'm like, "Bro, what are you doing?" He's like, "I didn't know who it was, man." Cause nobody comes and knocks on the door. I'm like, holy shit, man! He was all freaked out because he saw
yeah.
odd car.
So we're living at a time right now where when you smile and nod at somebody, make eye contact, we're at a time right now where that's going to become offensive.
For sure.
Right? That's some eerie times. And there's a nature that people carry around with them, and when you look them in the eye, you know where they're coming from. You got some shysters, you got some real slick cats.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when you look a man in the eye, especially if you shake their hand, you know where they're coming from. Same thing with a young lady or matured lady. You know where they're coming from when you meet them. We're getting to a place where, like, we're not just wearing masks to cover ourselves, to hide us from everybody else because we're so insecure. We're putting on the whole thing. We're putting the whole garb on to just have to be responsible for anything that we are. And the more of the people that are responsible become responsible for everybody else, the more the risk is that those that are expecting that gain won't have it in the future because there's going to be less people to give.
Yeah.
Right? And what does that come back down to? It keeps coming back to the same thing. It's the morals. So who sets the standard for morals? And why do we keep looking to the government to fix our problems when they're the ones that are our problems?
They are our problems. That's right. You
Whether
hear that,
it's-
everybody? The
whether it's-
government is our problem.
Whether it's the problems with the cancers because they've allowed stuff to happen when they knew it would be outcome, whether it's the problem with the soup that we're walking through with our airwaves and the problems with our cells and inflammation and everything else, whatever, the problems with our kids, ADHD and all the rest of the labels that they give to things, because if it has a label, it's clearly something that makes sense. But reality is, it's our environment influencing us, and we're not going to stop the trajectory that we're on. We're going to continue to catapult forward. And what is that word? Entropy. Okay, we're going to continue to compound and impound like immense amounts because the powers that be have put systems into place that are going to allow that to happen. So we have a generation of children that have been educated just as they should be by the same powers that be that got China to where it is, Russia to where it is, the Middle East where it is. We are where so if there's a overseeing mind to all this, and we're getting to the same outcome, when are we going to realize that we're all coming to the same outcome as a world? So when we say we want to touch the world, we want to be able to reach the world because it's not just here, or we want to be able to help America. People, we realize that we're being dictated to on how, and we're being predicted how to live, predictive programming, all that stuff. We've been fed so much of that we don't realize that we're on the cusp of losing our free will. We're on the cusp of answering to a master who is merciless and is intent on ruining what we are as humans.
For sure.
Genetically.
So Bear, let me touch on that a little bit. I agree with that, and if you could look, whether it's straight in Pennsylvania or just the states immediately around you, why do you think that everybody is pushing for legalized marijuana? People who like me, you, and Jim who go to work every day, bust our ass, and out.
Good time.
So, you know, there was a question posted on one of the daytime talk shows that I asked, or I listen to every day, and it was they talked about like how does your child learn their work ethic, right? And basically, it came down to your child learns the work ethic from you, seeing you go to work every day,
Yeah.
seeing you come home and put the refrigerator together, seeing you come home and put the toy together, or fixing their bicycle, or whatever, you know, cutting the grass every day, even though you're exhausted. So your kids are learning to work ethic that way, right? So the people who are doing opposed to,
Bill,
you know,
the battery's
lawyer
about to
who-
die. Billy. I don't mean to cut you short. The battery's about to die. But, real quick, you ready?
Yeah,
2024 is just 2 days away.
yeah.
Words of wisdom.
Get your shit together, man, because it's gonna hit the fan, and when it does, you.
Oh,
Oh,
we lost Uncle Billy.
Billy!
All right.
Uncle Billy!
So,
Uncle Billy, listen, brother.
we love you, bro.
I appreciate you thinking, and I appreciate you asking questions, and I appreciate you coming off the way you do, man. I hope that we can talk again. Thank you.
All right. Bear, 2024, 2 days away. Sum it up, man. Words of wisdom.
We're not going to win in this. We're not going to win. It's the same people pulling the same plugs across the world.
For sure.
And I think that we need to start thinking about what this life means and what it means to move on from this life, if anything.
My words of wisdom, if I had to advise anybody, my children, it would be to build your self-worth. And I'm not talking financially, I'm not talking emotionally, because in my thought process is that will come from this. When I say build your self-worth, whatever it is you do it 100%. Right? Don't do it halfway. There's no participation trophy for completing half the race, right? One of the things I think about is at work. You go to work. Don't just go to work just because you have to be there. Go there and do a good job. Do 100%, because that self-worth, having that feeling that my boss asked me to do 2 extra no heat calls today because I'd go do it. And it sucks that he asked me and then I did it. But the mental aspect of the self-worth that he knows he can ask me and I'll go do it feels pretty damn good. And it gives you a little peace of mind knowing that if the shit hits the fan, I'll still have a job. Because there's others that won't go do it.
It affirms the necessity of you.
Exactly. That was exactly right. Your self-worth, right. Your worth to others.
So if we're dedicating ourselves to the jobs, we're dedicating ourselves to a government that's clearly failed us.
Well,
And
I don't know if
we're
I'm
dedicating
myself.
ourselves to be able to pay monies and fees overseas, right? Whether it's personnel or ammunition or just finances, right? We're already sacrificing. We're already there. We've already accepted the fact that we
But
are
again,
part of something bigger.
and the same thing though. So you say that, right? So we're sacrificing ourselves to the government, but how many people aren't really sacrificing themselves?
I don't know. I know my girl works her tail off, and
Right.
she's having a ridiculous amount taken out. I'm trying to take care of some medical stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, y'all make too much." And it's like, "Did you do the math?"
Yeah.
And
Dude, it's sad.
I can't
It's
thank
sad.
her enough for doing what she does while I'm dealing with what I got going
It's
on.
sad. It's sad.
And she wants me to get help. And you want to be able to feed your family, and you'd like to be kind.
But that's my.
But you don't want to
that's
send your
my
money
favorite-
overseas. You don't want to send your money to housing complexes that are filled with immigrants, and they're $2,500 a month.
Yeah, but so think about it like this, right? This is what's so.
And I don't
So
hate on
you
anybody.
are an American citizen,
I don't hate anybody, but the reason why they're here because there's an agenda.
right?
That's
but
why.
This is
It's
the
inhumane what they're doing.
this is the mind fuck, dude. You are an American citizen, correct? You were born in this country.
Bought and sold.
All right, whatever you want to say.
Every one
But
of us.
here you are trying to get assistance to help you with your medical issue, and you make too much money, right? That you've worked for and you've paid into the system, yet these motherfuckers can walk across an imaginary line and get it. Bro, that should make you crazy. You should be screaming at the top of your lungs to anybody and everybody that will listen to you because of this.
No, do you know why? Because
You worked.
I don't.
You paid into it, right? But that's what I'm saying.
It pains me to see her, because you know I've been out of work.
Right.
It pains me to see her dealing
For
with
sure.
Because she sees me hurting physically, and she's got to. You can't get, because I'm still trying to plug along, trying to get this.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, so that's what I'm saying, though, man. Like, it should make you fucking crazy that there's people that are working and collecting and getting all the benefits, and they don't even have a citizenship card to be here. That's fucking
But somehow,
wrong.
when they go back to the doctors, they know what their file says,
Well, they know.
or they know where to send the check, or they know where the kid's going to school.
Well, they know the numbers to write down because so-and-so's sister got it, and she only makes this much money.
I got a question for all y'all out there. Go to your local fly-by in-and-out clinic where they have, like, if you get a cough or something
Yeah.
or whatever. Do me a favor. Check out the artwork on the wall. I walked into the one by us because she was having massive migraines, which is environmental and inflammation. I'm not getting into it, but anyway, she's been dealing with migraines. We went to the local place because she needed something. She was laid up 3 days straight. They had a picture on the wall, and it was like one of them concentration camp pictures of all the children who have like decent clothes and they're not like emaciated, but they all have that star-dazed, traumatized look in their eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do they have this in a place that's for taking care of people? I'm just telling you, it's out there for you to see.
All right, everybody. Happy New Year. We
Love
wish
you.
everybody a safe and healthy 2024. Average American 3 beers deep at gmail.com. Post some positive comments. If it's negative, keep it to yourself. Thank you, guys. Good night. Jimbo out.
Jimbo.